McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles in the overworld. Now for a limited time, you can get one of 6 McDonald's collectibles when you order a Minecraft movie meal. Ooh. With your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Available now in a biome near you. Oh, and at your local McDonald's. At participating McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theaters.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
I wake up, hit 100 push-ups, then I'm at my route. Check on my stocks, see how they looking, then I'm sliding out. When you start seeing your progression, you stop having doubts. And what's the point of having clout if you can't cash it out?
Welcome back, wealthy people, to another great episode of the Black Wealth Renaissance Podcast, your favorite podcast. It is your host here, your boy, David Bellard. I'm here with my brother from another, Jalen Clark. How you doing, brother?
Yo, what's up, man? It's your boy, Jalen. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm shaking back. I wasn't doing so well this week, but I am.
Yeah, my boy was down
back.
bad this week.
Man,
he was down bad.
I was, man. I had this nasty case of like an ear infection or something. I don't know what the fuck was going on. Basically, like one of the nurse practitioners described it as like staph on your ear or whatever. I don't know how I got that shit. But basically, I knew you was gonna say that. Fuck you, man. Anyways, I had that basically, but my cartilage on my ear was infected. You never realize how important a little ear can be until something happened. It's crazy. I couldn't sleep for like two nights straight, bro. My ear just was hurting. Never really understood how bad an earache could be crippling. But like I said, I'm doing better. Then this weekend.
Hey,
what's up?
That's the reason they say health is wealth, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Telling you.
All the money in the world can't buy what Pusha T said on the song. Ask Steve Jobs, wealth can't buy health. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the most important thing you got in this world is your health. So I definitely feel, I've been in the little process. I've been rehabbing my leg. After I turned 30, man, I thought I'd go out here just hoop regular. Shit, boy. Quad said no, sir. So I've been shaking that back. But honestly, dog, I'm feeling good, bro. I'm in a really good space. I'm feeling blessed. You feel me? I'm really excited about the direction things are going and the way things are happening. So I give it all glory to the man upstairs, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm excited to get into this pod today. We got another great episode coming for the people. We're going to touch on some really important topics, a lot of things that are going on in the community. But before we get into it, guys, definitely want to ask you, make sure you leave us a rating and review, preferably a 5-star review. We do our best to continue to give you good information, and we want to hear from you guys. So if there's anything you want to hear from us, or anything that you want to see more from us, go ahead, shoot us a DM, shoot us an email, because we definitely ready to get into it. But my brother, I'm going to kick it to you to kick us off for the episode, man.
Yes, sir, man. So we got some good topics today. Our very first topic, man. We want to talk about the economic blackout, or would you refer to it as the economic backout? Because I don't know. I wanted to bring up this topic. I had brought it up to you because whenever I first heard about it, my immediate question was, do you think this is actually going to work? Right. But before we get into discussing our feelings, our thoughts about it, let's just talk about what the economic blackout is, right?
Just for anybody that's under a rock that may have missed it, right?
Yes, sir. So what it is, it was a reaction to companies like Target and Walmart cutting their DEI programs. Black people took to the internet to suggest that we should protest these companies that do not support DEI with the economic blackout. One day where we're all just not shop there at these establishments, right? First thing, I think they talked about that before even Black History Month started. They was like, we should do it for the whole month of Black History, but it got reduced to a day. Also, I have seen some other stuff floating around where so that date was the last day of Black History Month for everybody who doesn't know. So February 28th. But I have seen a few other things floating around where it's like different weeks, like one week, like each
Yeah,
week.
it's a calendar of events that
Yeah,
occurred
like
in.
rolling.
Yeah,
Like
like there was something in January. There was another. The
no.
blackout was in February, and there's two things in March,
So
right?
what I saw from like March to like April, right? Each week. So each at the top of each week there was a different business. So like the first week of March, they were like no shopping on Amazon for 7 days. Then after that, no shopping at Target, no shopping at Walmart for 7 days. And I saw it rolling for like maybe 8 weeks. If you want to, you could try to find that image, pull it up real quick, just so we can kind of give them the actual. It is what it is, but why why are we talking about this, right? People aren't supposed to spend money with these companies, so they feel that there's a demonstration of our economic power. We all know that black Americans have a spending power of over $1 trillion, right? I think that number has actually risen to like $2 trillion. Once again, if you want to look
It's
that up,
nearly 2 trillion. I want
yeah,
to
if
say,
you want
yeah.
to look that up for me, but we have a spending power of over $1 trillion. So, immediate thoughts was, hey, if we pull back that money, these companies would then have no choice but to kind of listen to us. A lot of people were referencing that black that the blackout have an effect on the market, right? A lot of people were saying as of February 28th, that the blackout was having an effect on the markets, on these companies like Walmart,
Yeah,
Target,
yeah. I seen
Amazon.
that on social media.
Yeah, a lot of these companies, they're saying a lot of these companies, their stocks were down due to the blackout.
Kind of
Which
giving themselves a pat on the back, in my opinion. Just kind of with the tone I got from that, right?
Yes, sir. And I do have a rebuttal to that as well. Once again, I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on this idea or anything like that, but I just want to add context to some of these things. So I'm not going to say I have a rebuttal, but I do have a thought on that I would like to expound later. And then how was this economic blackout going to be enforced, right? Although it's a step in the right direction, the case of it is right idea, wrong execution. That was my immediately thought as well. Because the person who actually came up with this was Reverend Al Sharpton. It was his idea. He said, "Hey, we'll do it on the 28th. No shopping, anything like that." Um, and another reason why I said right idea, wrong execution is because a protest with an end date and no demand isn't a protest. And we'll talk about that in a second whenever we kind of talk about some of previous protests that actually did work whenever it came to the civil rights movements, right? So you want to get into this so
Yeah,
we can
yeah, for
talk
sure,
about
bro. So yeah, man,
some of the thoughts and everything?
as I'm hearing this, right, and I'm just listening to it, and it goes back to the same idea, right, where that right idea, wrong execution really sums it up perfectly. Um, we go for symbolism over actual economic impact. I
Yes,
think we
sir.
often hear that 1.7 trillion dollar number, right, for
So it
the
is 1.7 trillion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that was the last estimate for African American spending power. And we hear that and we're like, yeah, man, we can definitely make some stuff happen, which I do believe that is true. But as we can see that, like, that's not necessarily what was going down whenever you really look at what was going on in the real world. On that day, the economic blackout, while it was proposed by Al Sharpton and, it kind of floated through social media, there were a lot of people who also were kind of poking fun at the idea, showing that there's a lot of people who look like us that weren't participating. Actually, I shared a clip with Jalen.
Yeah.
We may have to try to find that, put that on the screen or something for y'all guys. But it was like showing the dichotomy where it's like some people were actually calling for us to go and spend money with black businesses or black business owners or buy black owned products. And we
Black
actually
owned
saw
brands that are in these
exactly, we
actual
saw a bunch of people, videos of people all in Target, you know what I'm saying? Going in there and supporting people like Honey Pod and a lot of the, Target carries a lot of the black owned hair care products and feminine
Tabitha
products.
Brown,
Exactly,
Taraji's got
exactly.
a line in
So
there. I think
you
Beyonce's line is in there.
we have two different approaches is what it ends up becoming, right? Where we got half of us that's like, hey, no, don't spend no money with them, and then the other half of us that are like, uh, yo, no, let's actually support our people because this is going to benefit us more in the long run. And, and to me, that's where the wrong execution comes in, right? Because ideally, right, if we're going to do something in the eyes of a boycott, it definitely can't just be a single day event. That doesn't really make an economic impact, which is why I think it's asinine that I've seen so many people talking about the way that this was impacting the market on that
Mm-hmm.
day. I think that, don't get me wrong, media cycles play a big role in things, but if we look at the macro of what's going on right now, a lot more of the negative events in the market have more to do with geopolitical events than they do have to do with the
Social.
local at home issues, yeah, the
Yeah.
socioeconomic type things in America. So like, while I think is it's interesting that we want, I think it's the right idea that we want to do something. I lean in the favor of people who believe that we should just support black business owners, but instead of going the step of supporting the people who have uh entered into the economy of scale in some of these bigger box stores, where they're partnered with these people, supporting the small local black owned businesses, which is what I actually did that day. I did some big activities. I want to get a cinnamon roll, you know what I'm saying? Some black owned cinnamon
Big
rolls.
hungry ass.
Hey, that bit was good too. Shout out to
Hungry ass.
Holy
Hey,
Roly,
hey,
Holy Roly Cinnamon Roll Shop in Irving,
move your
Texas.
mic back a little bit because you peeking. You clipping.
I'm loud.
Yeah, you clipping.
I need to just turn my gain down probably.
It's coming through a little distorted.
Is it
Sorry,
better
y'all.
now?
I'm live producing out here.
Hey, you gonna
Uh,
have to clip this.
yeah, it sound better.
I my bad. I had my gain up too high.
Are you good? But yeah, you went
Um,
to Holy Moly Donut Shops, you said?
Holy Roly in Irving, yeah. Black owned spot. It's pretty cool. A black owned couple they got that spot. It was good, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I think that that's the better route whenever we talk about organizing economically.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we can't do that shit through social media for real. If we're being honest, like it goes back to, this was the equivalent to me of the black square. Like,
Oh, oh, for
you remember
George
the black
Floyd?
square?
Yes, for
Yeah.
George Floyd.
Yeah, like where like people will like virtue signal and be like, "Oh man, you didn't participate. I'm a better black person than you, or I'm more for the cause than you." And
Yeah,
it's like, is this really activism? Like, what we're calling activism is symbolism, and we can't conflate the two.
mm,
And
that's
I'm a believer in economic activism. I think that that's the best way for black people to advance, and that's something we're gonna keep talking about
that's a
with our
bar.
platform.
Here were some of my thoughts whenever I first heard this, right? Because once again, whenever I saw the post, I saw some verbiage in there that said, "Hey, we're not going to spend on this day. So if you need to buy ahead of time, or right." So immediately, I'm like, if you're not buying that day and you're buying ahead of time, you're just inflating on a day prior than actually make it hitting them where it hurts, right? Or what's going to happen is no spending is going to happen that day. Then the next day they'll hit a record spending day because now everybody who didn't come, there's going to be a huge influx uh the following day. Because people do need necessities, toilets and toiletries, everything like that, right? And then one of the things that you mentioned was economies of scale. So I was thinking, how do we actually make this impactful, right? So one of the things that I was thinking about is, so let's say we don't purchase from a Walmart, right? Maybe there's a local black-owned grocery store in your neighborhood or a black-owned supply shop in your neighborhood. My immediate thought was after that is, are the products black-owned? Are we
Mm.
using black on toilet paper? Are we using black on paper towels? Are we using black on soap? Are we using black on toothpaste? What do we have that we manufacture that to now these mega corporations still aren't benefiting from, right? Because even if you're not shopping at Walmart, the people who produced a lot of these things still participated in the rollback of these DEI programs. Maybe it's not just the retailer, but also the manufacturer and the producer participated in these things. So at the end of the day, yes, maybe you put some money in the pocket of a black man and you went go purchase an actual product from them, but where did he have to source the product from? So
Mm.
those were a few things that I thought about, like how can you really make this impactful, right? And then I know when we first started the page, there was like black owned products that we have seen, like the black owned water companies,
And we seen
black
toilet
owned
paper.
black
Yeah.
owned bread companies.
We've
I
shared
forgot,
about all these companies.
yeah,
Yeah, I've seen a toilet paper company. There's
the
definitely a
black
black
owned
owned toilet
toilet
paper
paper
company.
company. But then immediately after I thought of that, right, is are those businesses ready for the influx that would come for whenever it's time for this type of demand, right? Because if they're not, what that can do is that can actually cripple a business. Because we know, me and you both know, some of our biggest critics are our black people, right? You go buy from
Hmm.
this black owned brand and it doesn't, one, A, meet the quality or your expectations of the other brands that you're purchasing, or two, your experience isn't good. There's a lag time, a delay. Maybe you can't order because the site's down due to the traffic. They don't have enough server bandwidth or any. All of those things are things that I was thinking about whenever I was hearing this, right? And
Hmm.
once again, I want to support our black owned businesses, but I want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that it wouldn't hinder us, in a way that it wouldn't be detrimental to those brands and those businesses. Because once again, maybe you go into a local black owned supermarket and they're not ready for that influx. And now maybe their store isn't as big, so now it's crowded. Then what happens whenever there's crowds in stores? People start to cause a ruckus and stuff like that. So now,
Or
once
just they
again,
run out of product, and then
exactly,
supply and demand. Now they may end up they may end up charging more for product because of the demand being so high, which is the
exactly.
natural cycle of economy. And because, like you just kind of mentioned, when people are, I do think we pocket watch a little harder when it's our people.
Hmm.
Um, Spending $8 with them when it's price gouging ain't the same as spending $8 on eggs at Kroger. For some reason it seems like a more personal thing when it isn't,
Facts.
and that's one of the things that, like, when we talk about impact with these type of movements, I think where you brought up an interesting point, Jalen, is like the type of things that we're trying to reject. We need to have some type of way to control the means of production or distribution. And, like, I think the
Man, look, I'm
historical
gonna say this,
example
son.
that you have brought up to me, the historical example that you brought up to me is like, I think what we really kind of need to share and look at is when we look at a framework for how to approach that, but then thinking about the modern way to do it.
Hold on. And before we get into a historic example, I want to say this, right? Also, we don't need another fucking t-shirt brand. We don't need
Ah,
another
yeah.
fucking fashion brand. What are we making a fucking substance?
What is okay? Something that is in a needs based or economic need based business that isn't
Exactly.
discretionary income required. Like, these people are gonna have to spend this money. How can we put
Exactly.
ourselves at the nexus of business?
How do we become, how do we move from consumers to producers and manufacturers? Right? How do we actually start to create some of these things? So yeah, what does that look like, right? Maybe we need to get with the Black
Good.
Farmers of America, because I know there's like a Black Farmers Coalition, right? Maybe they're producing enough uh food, enough produce to where now you can make sure that you're sourcing your food from a black farmer, someone who's looks like you producing that type of food, right? But then once again, maybe that looks like us coming together and now instead of just doing these t-shirt brands or like you said, all these things that don't matter, how do we create a whole bread product line, or how do we create this whole soap or this whole product line that once again is need based? So I think that
Essential
those,
items.
yes, I think that those are some solutions, because like you were just bringing up, the historical reference that I thought about immediately was the bus boycotts in Montgomery, Alabama, right? Whenever Rosa Parks was arrested due to not giving up her seat. 4 days later, 4 days after Rosa Parks was arrested, um, they boycotted the bus lines in Montgomery. Do you know how long that boycott lasted for, David?
Nah, how long it lasted, bro?
It lasted 380 days. Do you know what was the thing that made
Not
that
one day
bus
versus one day, right?
exactly? Do you know what was the thing that made that boycott come to an end?
So I do know one of the things that made it successful was that like people were deliberately not using it for that extended period of
Hmm.
time. Like so they weren't using the bus system. They were carpooling and finding alternative ways. Some people were even walking. I do remember, learning that type of stuff. But is that kind of like what it was? Like what brought it about?
Oh, what you're talking about? What brought the end to it?
Yeah.
So what brought the end to it was actually the federal government had
McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles as part of a Minecraft movie meal with your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Participate in McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theater.
the ruling of Browder versus Gale, which stated that the state of Alabama acted unconstitutional by segregating buses.
Okay.
So that was a
Okay. So
landmark
they
case,
actually they waited till the victory happened in court.
a landmark case that changed a lot of things, right? So
Hmm.
once again, like we stated earlier, a protest isn't a protest. I'm trying to remember the exact quote.
Oh, a
Uh,
protest isn't a protest if it has a specified date and no direct reason or like goal.
Outcome, yes. So once again, what are our outcomes? What are we telling these companies? Hey, this is what we would like to see. Is it that we just want you to bring back DEI? Once again, we talked about this maybe 3-4 episodes ago. Did DEI really impact the black community the way we thought that it did?
No, we already talked about that.
Exactly. Like what do
And
we
if y'all don't
actually
know what
want?
we're talking about, go back and listen to the last episode, baby. We back. We back and we better. I
Nah,
need
it
y'all
was
to
like
know.
yeah, back in we better. I think it's episode 220. That's the episode that we're referring to. So what do we actually want from this? What is our goal that we looking to accomplish from this economic blackout, right? What are our this is y'all deliverables. This is
Outcomes.
what y'all need to have in order for us to be satisfied to start spending money back with you guys again.
Okay. Yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up on that though, man. Like honestly, I definitely I'm in agreement with you, man. Like the way we approach this has to be more long term. It has to be definitely more deliverables. One of the things
More
that we talked about
strategic.
on our first episodes back was like politically organizing and getting with political action committees, which again is really to me going to be the key
Hmm.
whenever we start talking about it because I should have researched before I got to the pod, but I do want to believe that a part of this, right? Because anytime you got a case that's like this, right, somebody has to fund this case. So somehow, some way, this case was getting funded, and I would like to believe it's through the raising of or pooling of capital of people. So collective capital in that way is really the measure that's gonna take us from point A to point B. But definitely, man. I think like again, right idea, wrong execution. I'm gonna just continue to buy black and support smaller businesses.
Facts.
As we continue to go on this lane, I think it's definitely some different times. It's a bigger entry of capital, but times are changing, man. So, one of the things that's changing, or on the docket of things that's coming up to change, is actually the tax plan, right? So, that's been a big hot button issue as a part of the 2024 election. So actually recently, Trump's budget proposal passed the House and the Senate for his 2025 tax plan. So we're getting a little closer to fruition of the approval of, and seeing if he comes through on a lot of those promises he made on the campaign. So with this budget, right, what they're calling for is 4.5 trillion in tax cuts, 1.5 trillion in federal spending cuts, and they want to raise the debt ceiling by $4 trillion over the next decade. So it's looking like, the tax plan is going to be pretty aggressive in the favor of businesses, which we expected from somebody like Trump, right?
Hmm.
So while it's still in the process, guys, like again, as I mentioned, they just approved the budget. So with this process, things still have to go through getting drafted, the bill, actually drafting the bill, and then getting it approved by the Senate and the House, and then schoolhouse rock shit, right? Then the
That's
president sign off
exactly
on
what
it.
I thought about Schoolhouse Rock,
Yeah,
nigga.
schoolhouse rock shit. Y'all remember it. But then whenever we get that finalized bill, we're really gonna see if Trump comes through on his promises. Which, for people that don't remember, we're just gonna give you a little quick reminder, right? So that's supposed to be tax-free tips, overtime, and Social Security income, which would definitely impact a lot of people. So no federal income tax on those things. Uh, you would also have him renewing the 2017 tax cuts permanently. So, with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, I remember the corporate tax rate got cut down to like 21%. So bringing that up, I would think during the Biden administration, we brought it up somewhere to like 26, 27, 28, somewhere like that.
Hmm.
Um, but he's wanting to bring that back down, so lowering that corporate tax rate. So for people in businesses, again, just having a lower threshold by which you have to meet to make sure that you're not paying taxes on that side, which again, 21% is, just for reference, lower than people who are in like a $60,000 tax bracket. um and then, also another thing, adjusting the salt caps. So this would allow taxpayers and what salt caps are, they allow you to basically deduct your federal income uh, th- from your state,
I was
I'm
about to
stumbling
say,
on words.
boy, you sound like you Reggie.
Hey, you a hoe for that one. No, but which they basically allow you to deduct like anything you pay on your state income tax from your federal income tax. Usually that really only benefit people that itemize. If you take in the standard deduction, that really doesn't affect you. And then, one of the interesting things is actually eliminating tax breaks for billionaire sports teams owners, which, personal opinion, hater shit, but we'll get into that. Uh, and closing the carried interest tax rate loophole, and then tax cuts for made in America products. As we know, one of the things that they've been pushing is tariffs and trying to get production back into America, right? So again, why is this important? Because obviously this is going to affect a lot of people financially. If you're on a wealth building journey, a lot of times we talked about it a lot of times on this podcast, the black tax. In our families, there are not a lot of people with generational wealth. So a lot of times we are responsible for taking care of each other and
Hmm.
people in our family. So these things will affect you and other people, especially the low income people in your family that you may be offering financial assistance to, right? So with that being said, when it comes to the spending cuts for the government, the areas that they've been proposed from what I've gathered is they're looking to cut 880 billion from healthcare programs. So
Sheesh.
seeking to reduce funding for programs like Medicaid and children's health insurance plans, or CHIP programs.
Damn.
That would, like in a state like Connecticut, right? That would affect over 800,000 people, uh, which is insane. And over like nearly half of that could lose access to like SNAP benefits, which they're also looking to cut. That's another area. So social safety net programs like SNAP benefits, they looking to cut thing. It looks like 238 billion from that area. And
Sheesh.
then lastly, when it comes to discretionary spending, so they want to cut federal agencies, including, the State Department, Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Education, which we've already seen, and the Department of Agriculture and Labor. So looking to really just minimize the government spending by reducing the amount of agencies, which is why I believe this guy's Reagan realized, because he really like he got right in here and just started cutting the programs out, which I've never seen before. I don't think we've ever seen a president so aggressively cut back on programs.
Mm-mm.
But what I think
Question:
is,
How many
yeah.
Reagan's had 2 terms too?
Ah, shit. That's a good question. I think so. I want to say, yeah, he had 2 terms after Carter. I want to say he closed out the 80s. Um, but yeah, when it comes to that discretionary spending and a lot of that funding that's being cut, I do think one interesting thing about this, like when we come to talk about this tax plan, it's kind of seems like a lot of smoke and mirrors being involved right now. So I'm really interested to see if it's gonna hold true to those things that were promised, mainly the no taxes on tips and overtime wages, because I feel like that's like the one item that would benefit people at the bottom the most. Uh, I think that's the biggest issue that I would like to see actually come to fruition. But I have a lot of doubts around it. And the reason I feel like it's a lot of smoke and mirrors is because Elon Musk, your boy Elon, man. You was all with the SpaceX and all that, but that dude been he been out of pocket
I
lately,
was
man.
with Blue Origin.
Oh no, yeah, you with Bezos. You ain't lying. I ain't lie. I gotta take that back. My boy, he did. He always been rocking with Bezos. But Elon, yeah, he out of pocket. And one of the things that Doge, they've been bragging about, boasting about is, they're addressing waste, fraud, and abuse and cutting a lot of funds. But looking like they're
Sound
saying
like
55
bullshit.
billion, and when it got independently verified, they could only find 16 billion in savings. When I dug into this a bit more, a lot of it is from the way a lot of the contracts that they're saying they're getting rid of work.
Hmm.
Whenever the federal government allocates things as a part of a budget, a lot of that money's already spent at the beginning of the year. So even if you cancel the contract, you can't just pull the funds back. So it doesn't really affect the savings in a way that it's it's affecting it immediately, like they're stating.
So this is
Um,
future savings, is basically what you're saying.
Basically, yeah, it's future
So
savings. Like,
like
okay,
if they got
we're
the
not gonna spend this
contract
next year.
yeah, contract is still active for 2025, but in 2026, no
Or like
longer.
we're just not gonna renew the contract. So if it's a multi-year contract, we're just not gonna renew the contract. But once
Gotcha.
it's been allocated for as a part of the budget, that's allocated and set because it's actually drafted in the law, and you can't just, I mean, like it was drafted in the contract. You can't just breach the contract in that way.
Gotcha. So question, who independently verified this?
Oh man, god damn it. I forgot the name of the group. It wasn't NPR because NPR estimated it. Um
Well, while you're looking that up, I think that this is very interesting. The one of the biggest things to me was the 4.5 in tax cuts, also the debt ceiling raising by $4 trillion, but then also looking at the areas that they're targeting, right? That comes up to like almost 2 trillion dollars of money being cut as well. So the healthcare program definitely makes me a little worried for people under kind of
exactly.
like
That's definitely the biggest concern for
thinking
me
about
too.
how a lot of Americans are going to function with that, especially the way that insurance is, the insurance markets, how expensive it is. Um, the way that the deductibles work, these high as deductibles in the insurance market, um, even these elderly citizens who can't really, they don't have active income coming in. They're set at a particular amount of money that they can spend a month. So just taking away Medicare and things like SNAP, which for well-embodied people, I think it should be a tool just to, get you back into where you need to be. So if I think that there should be certain steps or certain programs set up, maybe like a checks and balances, right? You should have to work towards this, and then you're going to be cut off from these things, right? Once again, for the well-embodied citizens. I'm talking about the people that just be sitting on their ass collecting food stamps, and I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about black people, white people, uh, Hispanics,
That shit ain't got no
everybody.
skin color.
Exactly, because a lot of people are on food stamps. So anybody who can actually get up, go get a job, go do what you need to do to provide for your family, and I say that with the most, how can I say this? I'm not saying this to downplay anybody, because last week we talked about how much it takes to actually like live comfortably in America, right? And I know some people aren't at jobs where they're actually able to make a lot of money to provide the lifestyle. A lot of people are on minimum wage. Minimum wage in a lot of states is still 7.20 fucking 5, bro, which is
The,
ridiculous. But there
yeah,
are
the,
some
the
states.
the cost of living is definitely way higher than the what the wages are.
Exactly. And when I say there should be programs or whatever, right? If you're at 725, maybe there should be programs that say, hey, we're going to help you develop these skills so you can go from those lower tier jobs, which I think should be reserved for people entering the workforce, kids and
Mhm.
everything like that. We're going to give you some type of program where you can develop a skill, where you can become more, what is the word that I'm looking for? Where you can
Valuable,
provide, yeah, yeah,
valuable.
more
You'll
more
become more
value,
valuable.
more valuable in the economy, right? Now you have these skills. Maybe it's through trades, because I know that's something that was lost. And there's actually been a resurgence in trades. Gen Z is actually opting into trades over college at a higher rate. But maybe it's trades, right? Maybe there's this trade program where you could go become a HVAC tech, plumber, whatever it is, but something that can help you move from poverty line to now you can start to live a comfortable life.
Hmm.
But I
To
don't
get
think,
into that middle class area.
yeah, I don't think they should just cut it off and leave people ass out naked in the cold.
Yeah, I definitely I can agree with that. I think those social programs are a big reason why America is what it is. Like when we talk about the American dream and prosperity and all that stuff like that, that vision was created after, the Great Depression, whenever
Hmm.
they implemented all these social programs and government subsidized loans and things of that nature so that people can invest in home ownership. That kind of that investment from the government to show that they were a part of this. So like I definitely I definitely can see the benefit of those programs,
Hmm.
but the people who do take advantage and skirt and don't try to grow and the allowance of that, right? Like I'm with you. There should be some type of guidelines in order if you're on this, because like not everybody's hungry, right? Because I don't judge people, that are on food stamps. When I was in college, I got food stamps. I was
Shit,
working.
me too.
And if you in college and you listening to this and you work a part-time job, you eligible for that shit until they cut it.
You better go get
But
it.
like, go get it, bro. Because why do you not take the money? It's free money, and like it helps because you're really not making enough
It
bread.
it's
When I
free
was
money,
in
and you're
college,
also a taxpayer that's paying into this program.
exactly, you're paying into your taxes. I was making like $800 a month, bro, in college. You know what I'm saying? Working 20 something hours a week.
Yep.
You that's hard to live off of, bro.
Most of the money going to rent.
Most of your money going to rent. So like they throw you that money and you got a little extra bread, you can make some stuff shake, you know what I'm saying? So like I definitely see how it can benefit people. I've benefited from it myself personally. But again, the people who game the system and try to play it for what it can be, I think that's the issue. And if the system did have
Man,
some type of parameters placed in, like those skill set, because I know shout out to Malcolm Adams, he would tell us about it often, like those apprenticeship programs.
hmm.
If they were somewhere to mend these two and meld these two to where, people who are in those entry level workers who are in that beginning level of the workforce, if we can get an apprenticeship program that recruits from this place for jobs like cybersecurity, for those things that are going to be in demand in the future, like you mentioned, or getting trades where these people can skill up and become more
Mhm.
valuable in the market. And
Or
just
even train them for this fucking $500 billion investment through these data centers. You're gonna need people in construction, electricians. You're gonna need coders and all of these things, right? Skill up. Give them a way to benefit from that.
where capital flows, opportunity goes. You know what I'm saying? Like
Facts.
we got too much opportunity out here. And
Man,
just
you were
to
talking
add that
about
in before
hold on, you was talking about
us,
people gaining the system. Very quick sidebar. I saw this lady on Instagram talking about, yeah, I get $3,000 in food stamps.
oh
I was
man,
like, lady, you are tripping.
you talking about the lady that had all the kids? She was young.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
man.
ain't gonna speak on that. That's it's disheartening. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
All I'm gonna say is do
But
better.
that's exactly what I mean when I'm saying that, right? I definitely don't think that's everybody. I think a lot of people have drive, a lot of people have ambition, they want better out of themselves.
Some
But
people just don't know how to actually where to go to do it.
yeah, and just setting that framework up, I definitely think will benefit more people, especially the country, because the country at this point we do need it seems like a reinvestment or like a retooling for this information age. So I definitely think that would benefit. And just to kind of go back to that one thing, because I don't want to leave that point undone and the information incomplete on that. So when I said those was independently verified, they actually it was requested that they provided an itemized bill.
Hmm.
And the first time they provided an itemized bill, it came in at 16.6 billion. And then they had to revise it and it dropped down to 9.6 billion.
Really?
So yeah, so the 55 billion that they stated is actually closer to 9.6. So again,
So they full of cap. Big
cap, cap,
cap.
cap. So that type of shit
Cap
definitely makes
City
me
Records.
concerned with the way shit's moving. I definitely feel like the pendulum is swinging too far in one direction, but we'll continue to see how that goes. And speaking of the pendulum swinging too far, I do think another interesting development that we heard recently.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Department of Defense is working with Google to help secure America's digital defense systems, from establishing cloud-based zero-trust solutions to deploying the latest AI technology. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Kind of just keeping on the theme of economic policy, is that on February 3rd, Trump released an executive order that was issued for the federal government to establish a sovereign wealth fund to promote
Mm,
the fiscal sustainability. And I'm gonna read this verbatim from the White House site, right? So yeah, on February 3rd, an executive order was issued for the federal government to establish a sovereign wealth fund to promote the fiscal sustainability, lessen the burden of taxes on American families and small businesses, establish economic security for future generations, and promote the United States economic and strategic leadership internationally, right? So that's the purpose of this, according to the press release that was released by the White House. So hearing this, it was interesting. The idea of a sovereign wealth fund is something that's been floated around before. Actually, very interestingly, in the election, this was like the one issue that Biden and Trump agreed on.
Mm-hmm.
that they thought that would be a good idea for America to establish one. And just kind of explaining what a sovereign wealth fund is. So, a sovereign wealth fund is basically the nation setting up a investment account so that they can buy assets on behalf of the country. So they would this isn't a new concept.
There's
Over
actually
90 of these
companies,
funds. Yeah.
countries who do it.
Yeah, there's over 90 funds across the world and they hold over 8 trillion in assets. And many of these, but the interesting thing about it is like with a lot of these sovereign wealth funds, the way they're funded are from countries that operate on a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
They usually are oil exporting companies. I mean countries. So, and in those countries that do that, the country itself typically has some stake of ownership in the means of production. They have some type of control or means of ownership in the stake of production. So
So immediately off the
looking
top of
at
my head, I think of like
looking at Saudi
Saudi
Arabia,
Arabia, and I forgot the name of the
China,
company. Is it
Saudi
America?
Aramco.
Saudi Aramco.
Yeah,
Yes.
Saudi Aramco. Saudi Aramco, I think it's like either majority owned or minority owned by the actual
Saudi.
state.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those countries, that is kind of how they operate, and the way they fund the sovereign wealth fund is from the surplus of the profits, right? So that brings up an interesting point because the United States doing this, we actually currently operate as a deficit as the nation. So America's debt to GDP ratio is 123%, meaning that we was on our people's ass last week for living above our means, but the
Our
country living
country
above
living
its
above our means.
goddamn means, man. Shit, everybody living on credit around this bitch. That's why they call it a third world country with a Gucci belt. Cause yeah, this is crazy, right? So America, and the reason things are this way, right, is because the U.S. government's only true source of income is tax revenue. Any other money
Yeah.
that they create is just adding to the money supply. It's not actually adding economic value. So the only way they make money is through taxing us. And as we just discussed, this tax plan actually plans on cutting a lot of
That money
that
that's
money
supposed to
back,
be
right?
coming in.
Yeah, so like we're cutting $4.5 trillion in tax revenue. Um,
Where the hell
you
is
know,
money coming from?
where the hell is money coming from? You feel me? Like, so I won't say that this isn't an unrealistic idea. The potential of this tool is that the United States could have one of the largest funds
So,
because of the influence that we have globally, the military that we currently have, and the role we play in trade.
do you think
Um,
it could be something like the economic blackout? Right idea, wrong execution?
I really feel that way. I definitely feel that way because of the people involved. We were just talking about, when I say things are swinging too far in the wrong direction on the pendulum, I look at politics on the spectrum. I don't know if you've ever seen the political spectrum thing, right? Where there's the left side and then the right side, and with the right side it goes all the way to tyranny, and then the left side it goes all the way to anarchy,
Hmm.
right?
I've
So
actually never seen that spectrum, but now it makes a lot more sense whenever people say the left and the right.
yeah. So like America, at one point, it was like a leftist side, and then I would say like, okay, we talked about the Great Depression, right? That leftist side was the side that created these social programs. That's left political ideology, right? We use taxpayer money to fund social programs that improves the lives of people. Um, the conservative or right side of the ideology is less involvement, less regulation, and more innovation will spur, right? So at one point it used to be closer to balanced, but I feel like we've swung too far into the right side, and we're getting to that point where it is getting closer to oligarchy, in terms of how things are operating, especially with the involvement of Elon Musk. It's just
Mhm.
it's a bit concerning. But again, I don't want to I don't want to just, think that this is something that can't work because there are examples of it working, right? So one of the examples I wanted to provide was actually Norway. Norway has the largest sovereign wealth fund for a country. As
Okay,
mentioned,
big Norway. Once again, I
if
definitely thought it would have been Saudi Arabia.
yeah, no, Saudi Arabia is like, so Norway is 1.7 trillion and Saudi Arabia is like somewhere right behind them around 1.45, 1.5, somewhere in that area.
Gotcha.
So Saudi Arabia is number two and then China comes in at number three. Um, so yeah, Norway, they actually started their sovereign wealth fund in 1990, so relatively not that long ago, right? This is 35 years ago. So right now that fund, as I mentioned, is 1.7 trillion dollars. Uh, I believe the estimation was like it's Norway has like 5 million citizens. If they were to distribute that fund, it would be enough to give like everybody $300,000 or some shit like that. So
Yee.
it's a significant surplus of cash, right?
That's why
Uh,
motherfuckers in Norway so happy.
so an interesting fact about Norway is right. So they actually own 75% of all the equities in the world.
75%?
I'm not 75%. My apologies.
I was about to say,
1.5%. No, no,
damn,
no, 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 no,
Norway's
no.
a pimp.
No, 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 no. My bad. They own 1.5% of all
That's
equities
okay.
across the world. So like that's a significant portion when you think
It
about it.
is.
And the way that that fund is broken down is they invest about 76% of their money in the equities, another 26% in the like fixed income assets. So that business, right? That oil
Hmm.
business, the state's invested in that. And then the remainder goes into real estate and renewable energy. Um and that's how it's invested, and what they use the profits for there is for social programs and to build out the infrastructure of the country. So to Jalen's point, right, whenever you start seeing those countries that have people with high satisfaction ratios, like satisfaction way of living and all that, they're on like that lefter side of shit where it's not every man for himself. It's still like, hey yo, there's assistance for the people who need it, and we're well funded so we can fund these programs.
Mm.
I think one of the biggest challenges, just speaking honestly for America, because like I just made that thing right, 1.7 trillion. That's the biggest one, and they have 5 million citizens. They could give everybody three
We
hundred
got a
thousand
lot.
dollars. We have 330 million people in America.
Yes, sir.
So that 1.7 trillion don't hit the
That
same.
don't, yeah,
Feel
that
me?
don't do shit for America.
That don't hit the same. But I still do want to talk about China's as well. I think China is another good example of how America could use it because China is one of our biggest competitors.
And
They have
they
the
got a
third largest
lot.
fund.
I was about to say, and they got a lot more people in their country.
Exactly. There are more people there. Now they're again more on the left side, all the way kind of in the communism lane. They're communism capitalism,
Yeah.
modified capitalism, more on the left side. Um, But yeah, China, what they use their fund for instead of infrastructure and social programs, which I'm sure they do to a degree because the government controls all means of everything in
Hmm.
capitalism. Uh, they actually are using that money to build their global influence, which we've talked about before. Their Belt and Road Initiative, where they're out there in Africa building roads and funding projects and things of that nature.
Laying
That's
data cables and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's building their global influence because honestly, that's the type of shit America was on back in, the industrial type era, bringing
Hmm.
that type of shit. So like they're running the same play, honestly. So if America could establish this type of fund, it would be definitely beneficial. But again, I have questions about the people that run it. One other thought fact that I thought was interesting just to share is that there actually are some states that have sovereign wealth funds. If
Really?
you're familiar, yeah, it was crazy. So we actually live in one. Texas has a sovereign wealth fund.
Shout out to my
So
nigga Texas.
using the profits from the oil, using the profits from oil, Texas actually uses that fund to
But wait a minute.
fund
Why the hell
education.
Houston going broke then, man? I got questions
Well,
now.
because the money's for education. So
That's part of the thing. There's actually a school district in Texas that was talking about they ain't got no money.
hey man, I don't know what to tell you. Look, the funds. So with the when I my research, I found that there's a university fund that's worth 30 bill, and there's permanent school funds that's worth 60 bill. I don't know what the annual disbursement looks like on that,
Mm-hmm.
but those money's invested on behalf of the schools so that they can, you know, operate and shit like that. But yeah, I don't know. We maybe have to look into that one more. I don't know why that school's shutting down.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
it
gonna have
has
to
something to
look
do with the
into it.
Title One funding, because with the Department of Education, that's the thing.
Yeah.
The Title One funding for some schools, depending on the type of school it was. But the other state that I wanted to bring up was actually Alaska.
I
So
knew about theirs.
fun fact, if you didn't know, if you could do it, I couldn't do it. I can't live in the cold. I like the South, I like the warmth. But if you are willing to live in the cold, Alaska will pay you $1,000 to $2,000
A
using
month?
their state oil profits. Shit. It's either a month or a year.
I low key think it might be a month, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll let you Google it. But I have heard that about Alaska that their citizen, well, yeah, their residents get paid to live there based off of the money that's generated through their oil industry and the pipelines that's running through there. So I think that's very very interesting. Once again, I couldn't live in Alaska, but shout out to them as well. And that's crazy. Two of the biggest states is the two states that actually have these type of funds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they also where we produce some of our oil economically. So so when I kind of mentioned again, why I'm concerned about it,
Hmm.
it's because of who's involved, Elon and Trump, and kind of that whole political stuff. And there's an example. Obviously, if there's good, there's bad, right? So there is an example of where some massive fraud occurred. So Switzerland had a sovereign wealth fund as well, and they had two executives that embezzled over $1.8 billion from a
Shit.
development program that they had in
You said
Malaysia.
1.8
1.8
billion?
billion, 1.8 billion, yes, sir. So Tariq Obaid, he was a Saudi, he was a Saudi Swiss native, and a guy named Patrick Mahoney, a British Swiss native. What they
Patrick
did was
Mahomes? I lied.
so they convinced the board over the project to enter a JV deal with them. And the way they finessed it was Tariq, he was Saudi, so he acted like he was linked to Saudi Arabia, and they backed it. So they put like some Saudi shit in the name, you know what I'm saying? And they were able to finesse it. But they did get caught. He got 7 years. Tariq got 7 years, and they ordered to pay back restitution for the entire amount they stole, basically 1.75 billion.
Shit,
So yeah, crime don't pay. But with the way
nigga.
shit going,
You know how long they gonna be paying that back? They
I'm
great
glad they
great
got caught. But
grandkids gonna
but
be
see,
paying
that
that
that's
back.
what I say. That's my concern here, because I don't think that who's checking the checker, right? Is
Hmm.
kind of part of the point I want to get to. But
Especially with Doge, with Elon being over Doge.
yeah, yeah, and we just talked about how whenever asked for an itemized bill, they came in at a
Nine
ten,
point eight billion
yeah,
dollars opposed to fucking 55
yeah,
billion.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about right now, bro? You lied. So that's concerning behavior. So as we kind of talked about, the U.S. broke. So where the hell this money gonna come from? We really don't know. We
Your guess better than
we
mine.
Your guess is better than mine. At first I think it's interesting because Trump was like, "Yo, yeah, this shit gonna get paid for by tariffs," and then, obviously we talked about tariffs. Tariffs are a tax on the goods that actually gonna hurt us more than anybody on the consumer side of shit.
Exactly.
So they kind of asked where the money's gonna come from. They said the savings from Doge, and then we just talked about that as well. So yeah, we're interested to see how this would play out. If there is a way to fund it the right way, and we can build it out like Norway, where it's a legitimate company, like that invest wisely. I think America has a strategic advantage because we have so many companies that are based here that are leaders of global economics.
Exactly. A lot
Like
of
we
tech companies. Uh,
and to me, I honestly don't think it's a bad idea, because the U.S. government's already spending money with these businesses anyway, but they're just doing it as a consumer. So, to our earlier point when we were talking about the economic blackout, if the U.S. can, partake in it the same way, uh, it could be beneficial to the country. You know what I'm saying? Like we could asset our way out of the debt, which sounds crazy. It sounds like some shit Donald Trump would think of. Like we're gonna try to build up assets enough to pay the debt off on some so see if we can outgrow it with the but yeah, it's definitely interesting. At worst, I could see the government um putting too much money into the markets again and getting to the point where is we've overinflated the money supply.
mhm. And
But
now your actual market value isn't what it
yeah,
truly is.
yeah, they done diluted the shares because they done bought so much,
Yeah.
um, or made a mandate to where companies had to give up so much of the company to the government, stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think it could work. What you think, Jalen?
Once again, I think it could work, but it has to be the right people doing it, right? Uh, I
Right
think
idea, wrong execution.
who's going to be sitting on this board? Who's going to be deciding what are we investing in, where are we investing in, right? What's going to be the criteria? How we know we're not getting in bed with the people like Patrick Mahoney and Tariq, where they had connections to another country and were able to embezzle those funds and stuff, right? Um, so I think it could work. Do I think that this will actually happen in his term? I'm gonna say fuck no.
Yeah, the it's just a plan to draft it. I think they got 90 days to create it or some shit like
Yeah.
that. I would hope that it actually doesn't come to fruition in his term, just because again the prior concerns are voiced about this oligarchy shit. Elon, they just canceled Verizon's fucking FAA contract and awarded it to Starlink. So like
Yeah.
a lot of that self-dealing type stuff definitely raises concerns. But right idea, wrong execution, man. I think that got to be the name of the episode, bro. Uh,
Is
like,
either yeah. Yeah, I think that might be the name of the episode actually. So
yeah, like
uh mo-
I don't want those people in there, but
nah.
yeah,
But moving along, man. Another big thing that happened in the past week is crypto, man. Actually just announced today, March 2nd. Your boy Trump, man, and I know we've been talking about this nigga a lot on the episode today,
it's
y'all.
a lot of shit going on,
Sorry.
man. Listen.
I want to read verbatim what it says. Damn, I just heard
But
something.
no, because this is like, this is something that's on the horizon. So while Jalen pulls up directly what he's going to get into, so they allow recently Donald Trump announced that there was going to be. He's been talking about it since during the election and stuff like that. But U.S. crypto reserve, right? And today he announced what assets were going to be a part of that U.S. crypto reserve. So he named 5 assets: Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Um, and what we saw was everything go crazy, right? The market
So
just
I
reacted
did find I
crazy
found that
positive.
tweet. I found that tweet.
Got you.
So the tweet says a U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the Presidential Working Group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve, which includes XRP, like you said, Ripple, Solana, and ADA. Those are the three that he names in the tweet right off the bat. And then he says, I will make sure the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again. Then he follows up with another tweet that says, and obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum, as other valuable cryptocurrencies, will be at the heart of the reserve. I love Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that was the most motherfucking pump I've ever seen in my life by a
Yeah,
person with so much power in the country. Uh, I immediately went look at CoinGecko just to kind of look at what everything
yeah,
did, bro.
bro. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It went
He
from
it,
bloodbath to green light.
it's insane, bro. So that's the kind of the question that this makes me pose, right? Do you think that this pump can stop the crypto winter from coming and revive the bull run?
Uh, I don't know, man. It possibly could. So I'm on CoinGecko right now, right? So over 24
I
hours,
got my trading view pulled up too, right?
bet.
Uh,
So I want to kind of one of the
cause
big
like,
ones that I want to talk about
mhm,
is Cardano, because I've been a Cardano head for the longest. Cardano was in
mhm.
the shitter. That bitch is up 59.9% in the past 24 hours.
Hmm.
Then Bitcoin pumped up 8.1% in the past 24 hours. But as I'm looking at the last hour, I do see red. I see red. I see things falling by like 1% to like 0.5%. So I think what happened is people caught the pump, people selling a little bit. Um, I don't know if this is going to be enough to survive the crypto winter because crypto is different than companies, right? Crypto isn't actually dictated by revenue, you know, what's happening in these companies. It's just dictated by
Sentiment,
exactly.
market sentiment.
So I think if everybody does, see rosy glasses and be like, oh my God, we're gonna have this crypto fund, I think it could prolong it for a little bit, but if you look at any crypto cycle, I think crypto has its cycles, bro. Like there's gonna be times where we
Yeah.
hit all-time highs and then it's gonna pull back. Crypto is just volatile like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like when it comes to this pullback really isn't that bad. So like to your point with some of them that's running up right now, off the news, I've been messing with Bitcoin for this year. Like one of the things that I've been trying to get into practice in is studying the price action of Bitcoin. Because I think it's important to like kind of get a feel for those cycles, like Jalen's saying, right? Because it history doesn't always repeat itself, but it does rhyme. We seen the 2016 ICO craze. We seen the 2021 NFT craze.
Hmm.
This time we had another little shitcoin run up, right? And after the shitcoin run up, which actually kind of got initiated, the end of the shitcoin run up was really initiated by Trump coin. Things were
Right.
kind of going good till Trump coin ran up and then it rugged, and then we started seeing this sell off, right? So a lot of negative sentiment was in the market. And we sold off a good percentage. Let's see, we sold off from like 99 to all the way down to
70.
78. Yeah, so like we sold off significantly, 78, 77 in that range. Is what I'm seeing the lowest the candle had wicked down to. So it was a significant dip. Like, I mean, that was probably what, like a 25 to 20% dip, something around that range. I could get the exact number, but rough estimate looking at it. Um, in crypto, I think it's important to note that that's not a bear market.
Yeah.
To Taylor's point, like whenever you study the price action of crypto, you'll learn that like a 20% pullback in crypto is like the same thing as like a 5% pullback in the stock market. Or maybe a 10% pullback in the stock market, right? It's cause for concern, but we're not in the bear market yet. It's a significant loss, but we're not in the bear market yet. And what I think is interesting is one of the price action tools I've been using, and again, guys, it's not investment advice, none of that stuff like that. I'm just and if I'm too far in the weeds, guys, we definitely can try to get some with somebody that trades to teach you guys a little bit more. But I've been using a tool called the Fibonacci retracement tool, which helps you kind of study the way price bounces on a chart. And the way you do it is you mark off the most recent swing high to the most recent swing low to the most recent swing high, and you look at the price action from there, right? So I had a Fibonacci on my chart. It broke down, and we had kind of broke all the way below, and we went down pretty far. But what I think is interesting about this run, I had a downtrend line on here too. We broke below the downtrend, which really makes me think negative momentum is still
I
still pretty
think
high, huh?
I say it's still a thing.
Yeah, I still think negative momentum is still pretty high. Right now, with it testing back down to this area it's at now, it's testing up to 92, which is actually an area that was one of the previous swing lows. So it's a point of resistance. I got a couple price points where it touched there. So if it can hold above here, man, I think if we can hold above here for like a week, I think we got some hope. But if we break back down to like the 80s, so like to 85, 86ish. Yeah, I'm gonna keep looking at it as hey, Bitcoin's on sale. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Uh, because one of the things I do want to mention while we're talking about this is like we always got to look at this as a long-term asset. If you try to come in and time the market and you're just looking at it for a quick flip, you a lot of times you end up buying at the top when everybody talking about it, and then whenever it dips during the sell-off, you get nervous and you sell off what you have. But
And you left ass naked in the wind.
you let and you if you realistically if you would have been a more disciplined investor and held for at least a 3 to 5 year timeline, you're almost guaranteed to make money, right?
Right.
If you could just be disciplined enough to look at that money, that number, that value go down, and know that it's gonna recover. Because for me, right, I'm looking at it where I got marked off for the bear market. I'm not even concerned about Bitcoin's price until we get down there to till around till we get down to the motherfucking like the 70K level. Then I'm whenever we around 71, 72, I'm like, okay, all right, what we doing here? I might if we get a lot of rejections around that area, hey, that's a load the boat price for me,
Yeah.
honestly. Around 70, that's a load the boat price for me. I'm like, yeah, once we down here, I'm really willing to buy. But again, this ain't no investment advice.
So I want
My
to break this
amateur stuff.
down. I want to break this down to the everyday person, right? You're talking about if we going down to 70K and we get a lot of rejections around that area. Y'all probably like, what the hell is this nigga talking about? So basically, what he's saying, right? If the price falls all the way down to $70,000, and then the price action keeps on bouncing at 70,000. So think of it kind of like you are jumping and you're hitting your head on the roof, right? $70,000 is the roof, and you keep on hitting 70,000 every
Like the
time you hit
floor.
70,000. I'm sorry, the floor. Every time you hit 70,000 and it keeps on, it doesn't break past that. That's what he meaning by getting a whole bunch of rejection.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for breaking that down. I like that analogy. Like kind of to flip it just to make sure that it's clear. Think of it like a pogo stick, right?
Yes.
Or a trampoline or something. Every time it goes down to that level, it just bounces back up, right? And to his point, if it's a ceiling, like you jumping and you hitting your head, that's resistance. And what we were talking about there, that's support. So if it stays above the support around 70, yeah, man, that's my load the boat price. But when it comes to a crypto reserve fund, I don't think it's gonna save the bull run like you said, man. It might, man. Actually, I'm not gonna hold on. I think it could. I really think it could, just because the hyper exuberance in the market and the amount of new investors.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm interested to see what it's gonna do.
Um, once so my thing for crypto, right? I've always said this is it needs to be something that's easily accessible, right?
Hmm.
There are certain coins like Bitcoin where you could buy it on Cash App, right? But other coins, well now with Coinbase, if you set up a Coinbase account, you
Yeah,
can buy a lot of these coins.
Coinbase, Cash App, Robinhood. You can buy
Yeah.
Bitcoin damn near everywhere.
But some of these other coins, depending on what it is, like I know whenever we were
Trump
heavy
coin.
in, I know whenever we were heavy into like crypto back in like 2021, 2022, bro, like I used to be on Kraken. I don't know if
Yeah,
anybody knows what Kraken is. It's an exchange, but it's not a centralized
it's a
exchange, right?
DEX, ain't it?
It's a
Yeah,
I
it's a
think it is a
DEX.
DEX. So it's
Yeah,
not
it's
a
a DEX.
centralized
A
exchange.
DEX is a decentralized exchange. So there's
Exactly.
unlike Coinbase and crypto.com that have KYC, which is know your customer, right? Well, I
That
think
means
Kraken
that
and all
you're
them, they ended up having to do it eventually,
yeah.
like all of the ones that were pretty big. But you were able to buy assets that weren't widely available. Let's say it like that
Hmm.
on the big exchanges. So a lot of times, right, when it comes to crypto, when people really make their money in crypto,
They
it's
buying it whenever it's
before the
fresh.
listing.
Yeah.
They're buying it before the listing, and you're gotten to get in and know a little bit. Like you said, the learning curve for crypto is a little steep. Um, it's a little steep for most people, especially the whole idea of wallet addresses. I remember not too long ago, I spent like 10, 15 minutes kind of just explaining to somebody how that works and, making sure that they understood how to send their money over. Because they couldn't just conceptualize like why is it a specific wallet address for each one? Why, if it's my wallet, why can't I just send it to one address? Uh,
Think of it as a
those type of
one-way street.
challenges.
It's a one-way
Yeah,
street that only goes in well, not one direction. Sorry, not a one-way street. Maybe what would be a better
a
analogy?
private road. Every
A
road is a
private
private
road.
road.
Yes, every road is a private road, and it's no exits to come in, to get off. Well, oh fuck, we're lying because there
No,
is.
you just can't go. You
I'm
can't.
talking about
you
swaps, bro. Because
you can only send. This is my road. I
I'm
can
talking
only go
about,
this
but
down this road.
I'm talking about swaps. But once again, that's getting too deep in the weeds. Like
Yeah, bro.
I know.
Stay up here.
So once
Stay up
again,
here.
private roads. So like it's a private road basically. Only Bitcoin can travel on this road. Only Solana can travel on this road. If you send Bitcoin to that road, it's not gonna it's not gonna be received, and you can't get that money back. That shit lost, gone in the wind. See you later, Charlie. How much you
Sorry,
say you
Charlie.
lost?
Hey man, don't bring that shit up.
I'm
It
sorry,
went
man.
crazy. It went crazy, but I did lose two bands. Like some years ago, they got my ass, man. I remember
Oh,
talking
I
to
wasn't
Bitcoins.
even
They said,
talking about that. I was talking about when you made a mistake and used the wrong address.
yeah, well, like I guess I was getting a little bit in the weeds too, with the whole deregulated side of crypto versus the regulated,
Hmm.
like the Coinbase and all that. I forgot what wallet I was using. It probably was my Exodus wallet. I think I was
It
using
it
Exodus
was
wallet.
Exodus Wallet actually. I
Yeah,
remember
it
that
was it
shit.
was Exodus wallet, and I think the first time I messed up when Jalen was first referencing was I had made the mistake and sent like $100 of USDC to a Bitcoin address, thinking that's how you purchase
You buy
Bitcoin. You send the
Bitcoin.
USD you send the USDC to Bitcoin, and it buys the Bitcoin. That's not how that shit works. You
Not at
like
all.
Jalen was mentioning earlier, and then you buy the bit, or you can swap the USDC for Bitcoin, or you swap the USDC for dollars and then buy Bitcoin. Um, but yeah, man, it's a mess, dog. I still think that like the whole idea of government getting into crypto, it goes so much against the ethos of crypto. Whenever we were first talking about it, but I'm gonna stand on this, man. I remember a couple years ago we were sitting down doing that podcast, and I told niggas, I said, man, I don't think crypto gonna be the revolution that people are trying to make it out to be, because people aren't gonna want to learn the info. They're not gonna do the knowledge, bro. They're
Yeah.
not going to do the knowledge to understand all this shit so that you can actually operate on a decentralized finance system. So with crypto becoming more centralized and the idea of the government adopting basically micro
And
strategies,
establishing whole funds to it.
you know,
Like El
I'm
Salvador.
not mad at it, bro. I'm not so much opposed to it, but I do think it definitely exposes us to a lot of risks, especially during
Exactly.
market downturns.
Like El
Um,
Salvador.
Yeah, yeah, during market downturns. But again, that's the nature of Bitcoin. That's the nature of the beast. Whenever it's feast and famine, baby. When it's crypto winter, stack your
It get
paper.
cold. It get real
Dollar
cold.
cost average. Keep buying that shit because I promise you, whenever it was 2022 and shit fell off a cliff and nobody was talking about it, I kept buying Bitcoin
All the
because that's
crypto
the best.
bros stopped going to the strip clubs. Niggas wasn't in Lamborghinis no more.
But look, you know what I'm saying? Like you just the most tried and true method for anybody that wants to invest in something that's worthwhile investing in is going to be dollar cost averaging.
Facts.
Set contribution, regardless of what the price is, long term investing, you're not gonna lose. But if you're just trying to flip some bread, I ain't your guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I play with options every now and again, but I ain't profitable enough as a trader to tell nobody what to go do with that. I'm here for the sure thing, not the quick flip.
Bars. And while we on the topic of crypto, we'll segue into our last topic.
Lowe's is the destination for Ego outdoor power equipment this spring. See what's new and exclusive, like the 17-inch string trimmer with Line IQ technology that auto-feeds to save you time, and the 22-inch Select Cut self-propelled mowers with a multi-blade system for precise cutting. Shop Ego Days, happening now during Springfest at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
And this is news that came last week on February 28th. The SEC ruled that meme coins are not securities. So,
Oh my God.
once again, yeah,
Oh my
big
God.
shocker, right?
Oh my God.
On February 28th, on February 28th, Securities and Exchange Commission ruled that meme coins are not securities and are more like collectibles. The reason is they are often said to be for entertainment and other non-functioning purposes. This means that meme coin holders nor meme coin purchasers are protected by the federal security laws, and creators do not need to apply for approval when creating coins. So basically, what that's stating is you can't really get in trouble for making a meme coin. So which
Crazy.
one of the red flags that went off in my head is this nigga Trump really did that, boy.
He rugged them people and then
That,
said, I can't.
that nigga that nigga Trump did that, boy.
The nigga said, hey, you can't catch me. I ain't did shit.
And then
I ain't did nothing wrong.
I thought about the Haktua girl. I feel
Haktua
like
girl getting off. That shit crazy.
she getting off of that shit.
It's a legal precedent that's wild, bro, because people have been getting sued for rugging people for years now. So for the
Exactly.
SEC to come out and say, yo, if you're getting into a meme coin, this isn't a security, even though it's marketed as a security, that definitely is dangerous. And again, it just goes back to what we called them at first, shit coins.
Shit
It's
coins.
a quick flip. It's a quick way to go get some money. But if you being for real with yourself, Bitcoin, if we looking at crypto as an economy, as an ecosystem, Bitcoin is the S&P 500 of crypto. It is the market, is the tried and true thing, is gonna be the economic backbone of that thing. When it move, they move just like that. You feel me? They may make bigger percentage moves and shit, but Bitcoin, if it's going up, everything going up. If it's going down, usually everything's going down. So your safer bet is there than playing with these securities that ain't securities, especially if you're not in early. I think that's a good point, right? I think you can make money on meme coins, but you got to be early.
You gotta be early as fuck. And you gotta know when to withdraw your money. Cause once them bitches start coming crashing down, them bitches tumble fast.
If you in the right communities on places like Twitter, Reddit, you can
Discord, you in Discords.
Discords, you can get in front of some of these things before they get to the general public. Actually, a funny story enough for me, and to the point of knowing when to sell, because I believe in sharing my mistakes, man. So look, I got into Trump coin before people heard about Trump coin. I seen a couple people talking about it on Twitter the night before it went like the Coinbase listing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let me go get this bitch, right? So I actually ended up buying the wrong Trump coin, which is crazy, right? But yeah, so I actually got into Trump coin before like it hit the media cycle. So I was on Twitter. I had seen it. I seen people talking about it. So I went on Coinbase wallet and I copped it. So I actually copped the wrong Trump coin. I It was like the mag. It was the actual Trump coin. I
Mm-hmm.
copped one called MAGA, but the
Damn.
name said Trump on
The
Coinbase
description.
wallet. So like if you typed in Trump, it was the first thing that put up on Coinbase wallet. So before it hit the media cycle that Trump's launching the meme coin and it became a big story with big publications, I got in on that one at probably like something like 40 cents, right? So fast forward a day and a half later, news comes out, Trump meme coin, people getting into it. And I'm hearing people talk about the price. I'm like, yo, the price of my meme coin ain't the same price as that one. They talking about Trump shit like $34.
That
My
bitch went up
shit,
to like $70.
that's what I was, but his, when at the time they was talking like his was like $34.
Uh-huh.
And mine was like $4 and some change. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, bro. Wait, this money I put in here, that shit was like worth like 6x or some shit like that. I think I put like $200 in. And no, it was worth more than 6x. I put like $200 in, and it was worth like $4,200.
Damn.
But let me tell y'all what my dumb ass did to Jalen's point about knowing when to sell. I learned you learn lessons the hard way. This is the first time I caught a meme coin, guys. So I didn't think about it being the wrong one. I woke up on Saturday morning. I bought it Thursday night, right? I woke up Saturday morning at like 4 a.m. just randomly, and I check it, right? I see $4,200. I'm like, nigga, I'm tripping. What? And I'm like,
Oh, I
man,
would have, my finger would have fell off how fast I'd have hit sell.
bro,
I'd have broke the
bro,
screen on my phone,
bro,
nigga.
bro. I go back to sleep. I wake up.
Sleep, nigga. Ain't no
I,
sleep.
hey man, here's the thing though. Like, you know what I just said about I didn't realize it was the same coin.
Yeah.
That was after I woke back up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Damn.
so my shit went from like 422 back down to like 40 cent what I got in at, right?
Damn.
So I didn't lose no money. I pulled my bread
Still
out.
that hurt, my
I
nigga.
didn't lose no bread. You know what I'm saying? But to the point of what we talking about with this conversation of meme coins, you gotta know when to sell, and you gotta know that whatever the fuck you putting in this shit, you willing to lose it.
Facts.
Because it can't be no money that you need. It better not be your bill money. It better not be no money that your child needs to go to daycare. It better not be no light. If it's your light bill, you need your ass beat. I'm gonna say it like that.
Exactly.
Like, meme coin money is a fucking gamble. And if you're gonna gamble with your money, you better be prepared to lose it. Just like when you're doing DraftKings and FanDuel and all that bullshit and putting them $3 parlays with a chance to win $100. How many times you gonna lose $3 to win $100? How many times? It don't make
Until
no
I
sense.
hit. Until I hit, nigga.
Fucking fiend.
Bro, that's funny. You know the actual first meme coin that I caught was Shiba Inu.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you make some bread on it?
I did make some bread on shit. But
Bro,
I
I
ain't gonna
remember
lie.
when Doge was a thing.
I played pussy, but I made like $300-$400 off of it.
Hey man, profit is profit. You feel me?
Exactly.
But no, I remember when Doge was a thing. Speaking of Doge and Elon, all this shit we've been talking about. Y'all remember back in 2021, whenever he was pumping Dogecoin like a
I do
motherfucker?
remember that shit.
And like the whole thing was Doge gonna hit $1. And I think it's like 75 cents.
You was
And people,
believing that nigga?
they was believing it because he was making an SNL appearance. And then he got on SNL and he called it a hustle. And I remember telling everybody that was because I wasn't in Doge, but I was like, bro, like no, again, the point of knowing when to sell. That's a good teachable moment. When the hype around something is that it just seems like it's at a peak and everybody knows and is talking about it, it's time to cash out, baby. Because after that SNL event, people was holding on to. I know dudes that I was working at UPS at the time, bro, part time. Dudes were showing me accounts they had 10, $15,000 in there in
I
those. You know what I'm
remember.
saying? And those crashed all the way down to 10 cent. But people kept holding. You know what I'm saying? Like
Bet you
you
them
you
niggas
just
want to
kept
shoot
holding,
Elon in his
believing.
head.
And I don't believe those just ever gotten back to 75 cents.
Let's see. I'm on I'm on here right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever made it back there. You can definitely verify that, but I say that point to illustrate, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to this,
Dogecoin is currently sitting at 22 cents.
it never got back to that peak. Whenever you're dealing with meme coins, that's that's the reality of what you're dealing with. So
And I'm glad you said
I
meme
say that.
coins. I kind of want to finish up about the SEC ruling, some of the things, right? So
Mhm.
we were talking about how creators, they don't need to apply and how you're not protected by the federal law. Uh, Also, so why is this important? Or why did they rule this, right? Meme coins do not fall under the definition of a security because they do not generate a yield or convey rights to future income, profits, or assets of a business. So that's what securities do. Whenever you buying a stock, you're becoming a shareholder in a company. So you don't get any of those things. Um, and then the how to this, right? This comes after the new administration promised to create a clearer and more favorable regulatory body for the crypto markets. And basically, what happened is, as Trump became into office in January, there's a crypto task force, which is a division of the SEC. So basically, the chair that was during the Biden administration got the boot, and then Trump put his buddies in there, and now they're making it more favorable for him and his people. But I was also watching a video where they kind of were talking about how the Biden administration approached crypto versus how Trump's administration is, and
Mhm.
one of the biggest things was Biden administration was come in, treat it like the old rules.
Trying to regulate it like
Yeah,
stocks.
yes. But this new chair or whatever, once again, them even taking the time to say, hey, this is why we're not going to do it because it doesn't fall under these criterias. It is showing that they're at least trying to create new rules, give them a fair shot to say, hey, you know what? Let's maybe understand your crypto thing a little bit more. Let's understand how we can create rules that make it safe for everybody, but also not have to abide by securities. One of the funny things I saw when researching this is Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong said during the hype of the Trump meme coin mania, there are about 1 million tokens being created a week.
Stupid ass tokenomics. Shit ain't worth nothing. But
Bro,
we'll
just
get to
being, yeah,
tokenomics later.
just being created for no reason. That shit crazy as hell to me. One thing while we were talking about this that I kind of want to talk about, because we first talked about crypto and then we got into meme coins, and I kind of want to tell what it is the difference between the two, right?
Mhm.
So a crypto, to my knowledge, is basically the coin that powers a blockchain. So Bitcoin powers the big Bitcoin blockchain. In order for transactions to happen on the Bitcoin blockchain, so like to send money, receive money, or if there's protocols being built on top of that blockchain, you have to use Bitcoin in order to actually make that thing happen. Same with Ethereum, same with Ripple, same with Solana and Cardano. All of those are native coins to those blockchains. So
Mhm.
that's the difference between a meme coin, which is a meme coin. I think like maybe 90 to 99% of meme coins are all built on Ethereum. Basically,
Facts. And now Solana. Some
yeah,
of them are being on Solana now.
in now Solana, because both of those have what's called like a programmability. So basically, all you're doing is you're putting in some code. You're saying, "Hey, this is going to be the coin that I'm creating," and it starts off with zero intrinsic value. You can't use that coin to actually operate on the blockchain or anything. Once again, it's just a collector's item. People just making shit on the blockchain. You actually have to use Ethereum or Solana to actually use those coins, or to move
You
those
gotta
coins
purchase it
around.
with ETH because
Yeah.
it's a token on ETH's
Yes.
blockchain.
So you have to use those cryptos to actually buy those meme coins.
Like my boy Dorian said, like Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
Hell
You
yeah.
you exchange your dollars for Ethereum, and then it's like using Chuck E. Cheese tokens to get tickets. You take the Ethereum, you play the game, you buy the meme coin, and if you win, you get the tickets.
Facts. So man, that's all I got for today's show. You got anything else, man?
No, man, like I think we got to cover a good bit of stuff. Again, guys, apologize. We said we don't want to be super political, but a lot of this stuff is moving fast in the world, and we definitely want to talk about the events that affect you guys.
Facts.
Uh, Again, the focus of this pod is financial literacy, business ownership. So we really just doing this for you guys. We're back at it. We back and we better, like we said. New, renewed energy, renewed
Once
spirit.
again, y'all let us know how y'all liking the
Yes,
flow of the
yes.
show. Let us know how y'all liking with just me and David on the show. Y'all want us to go back to interviewing people? I'm gonna let y'all know we fucking not. We not doing it. So let us know how we could get better so we can make this more entertaining for y'all. I lie. We will
Yeah,
probably
we
interview
definitely want to
people.
continue to provide you guys
In
with the best qualities.
I lie. We will interview people because I'm saying that one of the last episode we had Reggie come in, but that will be the more of the style of interviews that we would do is where somebody just pops in, they'll speak to us for a little minute, then hey, appreciate you, homie. We got more stuff to do. We'll continue on with our show. So if that is something that y'all did like, y'all liked us doing the interview, because I know a lot of people do like our interview style. Once again, leave it in the show note. I'm sorry, not leave it in the show notes. Leave it in the ratings and reviews. Drop some comments, y'all. Let us know what y'all thinking about it. We'll be back next week, though. We'll be back with more current events. David and I are working towards getting back in person, linking up. This virtual is just something that we're doing right now. I'm in Houston, he in Dallas, but we're here to make it shake. I'm gonna tell y'all how dedicated we is to y'all. It's 10:41 on a Sunday. We both got work in the morning, but guess
And
what?
I'm about to go finish meal prepping.
Guess what? We gonna make it happen.
Yeah, listen, guys, we on this journey. We about to make it happen with you guys. We hungry, we ready. So like Jalen said, we want to hear from you. We appreciate each and every one of you that's been tapped in with us from the beginning, and all the new fans as well. As we asked in the beginning, y'all make sure y'all leave us a rating and review. 5 stars are preferred. And until next time, this is BWR signing out. Peace.
McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles as part of a Minecraft movie meal with your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Participate in McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theaters.